Hey, it's Baja Nicole with your LexPD, and we are here for another episode.
And this brings back memories.
Yes.
In the very first season of your LexPD, we were in this room, the Real-Time Intelligence Center, talking about the Real-Time Intelligence Center and all the technology. So we're back now in season 2, and we're talking about different types of technology here at the Lexington Police Department, which is
Drones.
drones. Yeah, and it's something that is obviously changing public safety, both fire and police all across the United States, keeping people on the ground safe, keeping officers safe. So who do we have with us?
Commander Greathouse.
Commander Grace, again, which was the one we talked to in Real-Time Intelligence Center. All right, so let's go talk to Commander Greathouse about the drone program here at the Lexington Police Department.
Hey, and we are back with Commander Matt Greathouse. Thank you for joining us again.
Thank you for
having me. You were here
me.
for season 1, now you're back for season 2.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, again.
So started my career back in the 1900s, 1999. I came on the police department and started my career here. I kind of went about everywhere in the agency that I could be in. Was lucky enough to get promoted to commander and oversee the special investigations section, and really taking a large push with the team to get this technology, newer technology for our city to help us protect the community.
Well, when we talk about technology, your name always comes up. And actually, it was either the second or third episode we ever did of the show was talking with you about where we are today, the Real-Time Intelligence Center, and all about technology. So now we're talking about another area of technology that's being utilized in public safety, both police and fire all across the United States, and that is drones. And so we're going to be talking a little bit about that today and all the different ways we use it. So how did this whole program start here in Lexington?
So right around 2018, the police department, drones as a entity to be used for public safety started to really come into public safety for policing. The hazardous devices unit, which I'm the commander of, also started looking at that as how could we implement a drone to help us on a scene, make sure that all the scene is completely safe. We can put people in certain places, which is fine, but I can only see one plane of sight. And if we're doing any kind of countermeasures or anything like that, it needs to have a third view, and it's much quicker for us to be able to look at an overall safety picture for whatever that scene is. We started looking at that in 2018, like I mentioned. 2019, we did some exploration to get a grant to fund that, and then COVID happened in 2020. It kind of slowed us down. We purchased our first drone at the end of 2020 and implemented it in early 2021 for the bomb squad. And what that did is allowed us to support not only what our operations were, but we also support our emergency response unit, which also has the crisis negotiators with them also. So any kind of call we go out, we provide that third perspective, an overall view of the overall scene for the commanders there to make the decisions to help protect our folks that are on the ground, but also the people we're responding to help.
So you had mentioned some of the areas in the police department where the drone is used. I'm still on patrol, so we also have some drone operators on patrol. Do you know how many we have across the board?
So when we saw how it worked so well with us using it at the hazardous devices unit and also with our ERU response, that we knew that we probably wanted to start migrating and allowing it to get out to patrol, because that's where people needed the help. Yeah. You're responding to calls for service where things are happening in seconds, and they need that backup. If our airship is up, our Air 1 unit is it's phenomenal. We don't ever want to get rid of that one. They have much more capabilities than we do. They can fly farther and longer and fly higher and do different things. The drone is there to provide that immediate response. So what we did see is the need for that, and we implemented a patrol drone program in 2024. So when the drones were put into patrol, we put one in each sector, and we've trained 2 pilots each shift for each sector. Those folks train quarterly according to policy, so they come in and they do their quarterly training. We do a night training to make sure they're proficient in their skills, and those drones have proven to be very beneficial for finding not only missing folks, but also suspects that are wanted in crimes.
Yes. So do we have some success stories?
We have a lot of success stories. Fortunately, we've been able to find some missing people, missing children that have been either run away or gotten away from home that they can't find their way back. We've been able to use that, but more importantly, we've been able to protect our officers on scene when they were responding to calls. One specifically happened within the last year where a person had assaulted their significant other, fled in a vehicle, and then the police got behind that vehicle, the person wrecked, and then fled into a wooded area. what you have there is a wooded area where somebody can take up an advantage against the police. We were able to use the drone and find a heat signature. What that did is allow the officers to form a perimeter and call that person out to them rather than potentially harming not only our officers but the suspect that was in there. It makes a overall safe environment because once again you have that third perspective and you're able to say, we know we see you in there, you need to come out to us, and that person actually did give up. And that's just one of many success stories where we've been able to find folks that have fled from traffic stops or domestic violence or any kind of crimes in our community. They've been able to dispatch those drones from the patrol officers that have those with them, put those up immediately after and find these folks.
Well, you mentioned safety, and that's really, when people ask me about the air support unit and utilization of the helicopter, that's really what it's all about, is making sure the people on the ground are safe, the public's safe, and the officers are safe, and that's really what you all are doing as well. So what are some, other than patrol and hazardous device unit and crisis negotiation, what are some other areas that we're using them in? I know I have heard, and we talked with traffic in our last episode, and we talked with, they mentioned a little bit about our reconstruction unit, our collision reconstruction unit. I think they utilize drones as well, don't they?
They have. They came on very early along with the hazardous devices unit. What that does for the community is if you ever had a major scene where there's been a death and the collision reconstruction unit needs to come out and investigate that. Back in the old days when you and I were here, we had to get the film cameras, as you had to find our partners at the fire department to bring an aerial truck out, or if we had somebody that had an airplane to take an overall view of the top part of the scene. That could take hours to get those assets out there, and you wanted to make sure you had different angles, so that meant you had to move apparatus and all kinds of things. Well, now the drone can go up and take all the pictures they need within 5 minutes, and all the aerial stuff is done, and that makes the investigation go much quicker and allows us to open that roadway quicker.
I guess one of the other areas too, and some of the training that I've been to, when we look at large-scale events around the United States, we're doing so many different things now than what we used to do, whether it's hard shutdowns on roads, making sure people are safe at different events around the community, and we probably utilize drones as well for that, just to see if there's anything that is concerning.
Sure. What we've seen just recently in our history in the United States is that there's been long-range gun attacks on folks, and what we have is an asset that can help us prevent that, at least to maybe identify the targets where we don't have the availability. We have officers that are on the ground during mass gatherings, whether it be a 4th of July event, whether it be a parade downtown or a protest, and we need to make sure all of our public is safe. Officers on the ground can't see up on a roof. We don't have the personnel to put somebody on every single roof that's in and around our community. We have a very easy way to do that, and that's with our drones. So we do. What I love about our agency is we move and shift to the needs of not only our community, but what we see as threats. We now put a drone up, and when we have large mass gatherings of people downtown, just to do random patrols of the area, and that's the only time we ever do a random patrol with a drone. We only respond to calls for service where it's needed. Never comes out of the case other than that, except for this, because we have a need to protect that community downtown, and our air support unit can do a great job of that, but they're limited by fuel. They're also limited by other aircraft because they fly much higher, so we need to have something that's available, and this is great. We can put it up, change the batteries out, and have it right back up.
Well, we've had situations where I know that the helicopter has actually located something either on camera or FLIR, but we weren't able to get a good angle at it, and we've been able to utilize a drone at a lower altitude to be able to get in if it's under tree cover or something like that and help us out. So it really works well together.
It's been a great team environment. I've worked with you specifically on several of those calls while you've been much further up in the air and we've been much lower. But yes, we can take that down to a much lower altitude and be able to get into those spots where the aircraft obviously cannot get just because of the restrictions.
So if the community has any questions or concerns about the policy or just questions about the program, who do they need to contact?
Well, first of all, our policy is placed on our transparency page, so anybody can go look at that and see where it is. It's not used for any active surveillance. I talked about the monitoring for the large events. That's the only thing we do. Anything really over 5,000 people, we want to make sure we're there to provide as much protection as we can. It's not up all the time. It's put up random because we don't want the bad guys to know that we do certain patrols at certain times, and we'll put it up randomly. We'll use it for a specific event if we see an agitator, because we want to make sure the people that are doing whatever they are doing are protected. So the rest of our policy also mandates that we only respond to calls for service. So it's not something we're going to go out and just randomly look for things. We can't fly it over somebody's house to look for evidence. If we ever were going to use something for the drone for something like that, it has to be in a search warrant. That search warrant approval has to go all the way from the very bottom of our police department all the way up to the chief of police for his approval before that even proceeds. And then after that, it has to go to a judge. That's only happened one time in one case that we've had. So we don't use it to gather evidence. We can't use it to find things. The way I equate it is, if much like we're trained that if the police department has the right to be there, then all of our assets, our dogs or our helicopter or our drones have the right to be there also. And we're not going to look in somebody else's backyard or the neighborhood over to look for something. We're just not doing it.
And I think that's really important because that question has come up with the helicopter as well. We're not out looking for stuff. No. We're responding to calls and making sure the people on the ground are safe and the officers are safe too. And the fire department utilizes drones as well, don't they?
They do. They also use those in conjunction with us for missing persons, but they also use them for any kind of fire that they go to, because these drones are equipped with thermal capability, so they're able to pick out hot spots in areas where in a home or a structure or even out on the field, a large brush fire, they can put the water where it needs to go, because there's a lot of smoke hides a lot of where the actual true source of the fire is. They can put those drones up and be able to see, oh, that's exactly where we need to go, so quit putting it over here, put it over there.
So whether it's police or fire, it's really about saving people's lives.
It's all about public,
yeah,
it's all about
safe,
public
right?
safety. It's all 100% about public safety, and we also would assist DEEM in any kind of natural disaster, whether it be a tornado, flooding, earthquake, whatever that happens to be. We can respond to anything that's needed in our community.
So what does the future look like?
The future looks like right now our patrol drone program that you're familiar with, that takes one person that's on patrol to be able to operate that drone and one person to be a visual observer. So that takes two people off of that call, potential call, that could be in doing some work, whatever that call may be. The future is looking at a way we can provide a drone support for all of public safety, and that's a drone as a first responder. We see that as a very valuable tool where it could be actually flown from right here in the Real-Time Intelligence Center. And so that frees up those other officers that are on scene to be able to go out and actually get into that call and help out and not be taken away from. That's two personnel that we can put right back in to whatever is needed on the ground. That drone would then be flown from remote locations, so they would be spread out around where we can cover our entire community. And we will respond only to calls for service. So essentially, if somebody calls in and asks for help of whatever that is, and we believe that the drone could fly, whether weather dependent, we would send that there to be able to get there first to provide that real-time intelligence, which we spoke about in our first season. And here is the whole key is to provide as much up-to-date intelligence to those that are on the street responding, so they can make that accurate response and not all be going to one place that has nothing to do with it, or going to one specific vehicle or any vehicle that matches the description. We want to find that exact thing.
Well, we're seeing that as a trend all across the United States, and even here in Kentucky. I know I was in some training in Louisville a few weeks ago, and they were talking about their program that they use, the drone as a first responder. University of Kentucky, there's a lot of different agencies around the country that are using that and having a lot of success in keeping people safe. I think going forward, I think we're going to be calling ours the aerial public safety support program. But it's, again, police and fire, we're all working together, and emergency services as well, because if we have a major scene of some type, whether it's a collision, a hazardous material spill, talking about having these capabilities is talking about saving people's lives.
It all goes back to what we talked about just a few minutes ago, is keeping not only our officers safe, but our public safe. And what that does is that name allows us to say that it's not just for the police department, it's not just for the fire department, but it's for community corrections, it's for DEEM, it's for E911, it's for everything within the whole umbrella of public safety. The way I see it is, if somebody calls to ask for help, whatever that may be, is this public safety drone will be able to respond to help that person, whether we find a suspect, whether we find a missing person. That's what we're going to be using it for, to help get our roadways open quicker, make sure there's not a cloud of chemicals that's spreading. You can look at the airplane crash they had in Louisville a few weeks ago. They had a 5-mile area where they were looking for, you'd like to evacuate. Right. That is a very large undertaking, and you can't accomplish that without using some kind of aerial support, whether it be a helicopter, whether it be drones, because you've got to get people out of a certain area and you've got to identify victims. And so this asset is going to be able to bring that that new technology, or just updated technology, really, because we're already using this in patrol. This just allows us to get those folks that are on the street back into the game and be able to respond to those things.
Well, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, this is very exciting stuff, and I always love talking to you because it's always technology. And really that's so many episodes we've talked about the trends of technology and how law enforcement has changed, how public safety has changed, and this is just another area of that. And the way that Lexington's always on the cutting edge to make sure we do everything we can possibly do to help keep this community safe. So, Commander, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
For this episode. And hey, we may have you again next season too, right?
Let's go.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
It was really good talking to Commander Greathouse again about where Lexington Police Department's going with all this drone technology and just technology in general.
Technology in general, and it's something that's changing public safety, both police and fire, all across the United States, and something Lexington's always on the cutting edge, making sure that we're trying to keep the folks here in Lexington as safe as we possibly can. So yeah, always great talking to Commander Greathouse.
It is.
Yeah.
So we're coming to the end of our second season.
It's hard to believe.
I know. I'm excited. So what are we going to talk about next?
So let's go. We're getting ready to have a season 3.
Yes.
Right? They haven't got rid of us yet. Yes. So we got all kinds of plans for season 3. So our last episode of season 2, let's go back and kind of visit some of our memories from the first 2 seasons, all the fun we had, and maybe even
Some bloopers.
Some bloopers along the way, right? And maybe we can go to a special location and have your favorite and my favorite
Popcorn with butter.
Right. All right. So make sure you join us
Next month for another episode of Your LexPD.